opening gets me every single time. Our opening, courtesy of our genius producer, Cody Merrill. Welcome into episode number 20. We've arrived at Cats Out with the Coaches, powered and sponsored by our incredible partners at Sports Pub Media. Follow them on Twitter and on Instagram as we have arrived at Major Week number 2 here in 2021. I am the coach. He is Travis Fulton. And Trav, I don't even know where to start this week because we have so much to get into. How are you, sir?
Well, we did the preview show, right? So people can go back and take a look at that. We talked about a lot of stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit about it as well here, but get more specifically into our picks. A lot to think about here. Great field. The golf course is going to be interesting, right? To see just how much of a beast it's going to be, how much the wind's going to blow. We know it's a tough course, a lot of options. Pete Dye always gives it. But if that wind blows and it's nasty, what side are you going to fall on this cut, right? Do you have that morning, afternoon, or do you have the afternoon, morning? Those are some things to think about here because that wind can come out of nowhere. And now you're up against a very different golf course that's going to play increasingly harder, as we know it's already difficult, but you put the wind on top of it, look out.
I was doing an interview earlier today, a business thing that I had going with Dottie Pepper, who's obviously going to be on the call this week for CBS. And she said that she's already looked at the forecast, and the first 2 days, the wind's going to be coming out of the east. So she said you got to have players that can hold the ball up against that wind, or balls are just going to be sailing out of play left and right. So keep an eye on that, on which way the wind is going to blow this week, which is significant at this course. Quick shout out, K.H. Lee winning for the first time in 80 starts last week on the PGA Tour at the Byron Nelson. He is the last man into the field this week at the PGA Championship. As Travis said, we have a full preview episode at our YouTube channel right now. Go there, subscribe, turn on the notifications because you never know when we're going to drop new content into your feed. And by the way, if you didn't notice last night, whether you follow Travis, myself, Sports Pub Media, well, if you follow all three, go there right now. We have a huge giveaway that we're going to give 2 winners of, what is it, Trav? $250 worth of PGA Championship merchandise.
Yeah, it's cool swag. One winner on Twitter, 1 winner on Instagram. So go get in it. It's going to be a great week. Let's get rolling, baby.
Follow the instructions there. We can only lead the horse to water. I'm not going to give everything right here. You go to our social media, read what you have to do. It's very simple, and we'll pick a winner out at the end of the week. That's courtesy of Sports Pub Media. All right, we already did the preview in the last episode. What I want to look at before we get into our picks for the week, and last week we absolutely killed it. 3 of our 4 matchups we hit. Also, I hit a top 20. I hit my wild card as well. But we did that preview show, Trav. And when we look at specifically some of the names in the storylines that we talked about, Jordan Spieth, he comes in plus 1,600. He's got the opportunity to win the career Grand Slam. And he said in his interview on Monday to the media that he really doesn't put pressure on himself anymore to win this like he did back in 2017 when he was really playing well. At plus 1,600, do you like the number where it's kind of settled in for Jordan Spieth?
I don't mind it. I mean, look, I think Spieth is poised and dialed. The game's in a great spot to get this done. And he's not going to shy away from the moment. We've seen it time and time again. He loves this. This is what he plays for. There's a handful of players who I think can handle this, and I think Spieth is one of them. In fact, I would probably put him near the top of the list. The driver is going to be the club that has to be really good for him. We know he can kind of spray it and scramble on certain courses. This feels like a big ballpark. You get off these fairways, you're going to have a difficult time. That it's going to be very penalizing when you get off the fairways. Remember, the rough's probably going to be a little bit longer than we first anticipated. So the driver's got to behave. It's been much better. We know that. His iron game right now is JT Colin Morikawa-like. And we know he's magic with the wedge and the putter. So, yeah, I mean, 16-1. Yeah, I'm okay with that number.
Feels like a sweet spot. It really does. If you want to have a flyer on a guy that I don't think has any shot of winning, Ricky Fowler was one of our big storylines in the preview show. He was a plus 8,000. I think now the market is corrected, and one of the numbers I saw was north of 17,000 plus, so basically 175 to 1. And for Ricky Fowler to have a number like this is crazy to me. But that's where his game is. He missed the cut last week. He still shot a 5 under par, but the cut was 6 under at the Byron Nelson. So he wasn't even good enough to do that at 5 under par, which is crazy. And also Dustin Johnson, he was plus 1,100, withdrawal from Byron Nelson. And now, Trav, his number is all the way up at plus 1,850. So he's outside of Jordan Spieth now. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, you're never going to get that for DJ, right?
Never.
I mean, that's prime real estate to get that number from DJ. And I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll come in, make the cut. He could be competitive. I think he's worked the driver out. I think the putter is the question mark for him. It seems like there's a little bouncing around going, which putter is he going to use? So I think the putter is the question for DJ. I think he's fine. His knee, I think health-wise, there's no issues. So look for him to come out, let the big dog hunt, get the iron game going. Can he make enough putts? 18.5. I mean, yeah, I got to sprinkle a little on that.
It was good to see that he wasn't out on his boat this week. I was glad to see that there was no Instagram posts about that. We had some big names that we talked about in the preview show, too. Rory was around plus 1,000. His number really hasn't changed. But one guy's who did. We never get Brooks Koepka, who won in 2018. He won in 2019. He's at plus 5,000 right now to win this golf tournament based off of the knee, the issue, the fact that he still can't bend over completely. We saw that at the Byron Nelson where he missed the cut. What do you make of Brooks, 2-time champion, all the way at plus 5,000?
Hey, I like it. I played Brooks last week. I tend to be a little bit early with Brooks historically. I took him the week before the Waste Management. If you can recall, he come back the next week and won. I think he's just that kind of player that he doesn't need a lot of reps. I think once he gets going, he feels confident, off he goes. I was hoping to see him pick the ball up out of the hole a little bit easier. He didn't look quite as healthy as I was anticipating, but Brooks is one of those players that, I don't think you need that steady buildup, like you'll see with some players. I think he's out there. He can compete. He'll figure it out. His putter was atrocious, though. He hit the ball pretty good last week, but his putter was not good. So if it was the other way around, would I feel any different? Perhaps, but it's Koepka. He's proven it in the past. Like I said, like the week before I was on him, comes back the next week and hangs around and wins. Could he do the same thing here? Wouldn't put it past him. He's won this championship now 2 of the last 3 years. So it feels like a bit of a stretch, though. He's, anytime you're moving like he is, with the knee, gosh, it's like, can this guy really win the PGA championship? Taking the ball out of the hole like that, bending over like that. Just, it feels a little bit more like a long shot with this than it did maybe back in Waste Management.
It feels like it would almost be like a Willis Reed type of moment if he actually made it to Sunday and he was in contention and coming down the final 9 holes because of the adrenaline and because of what happens to you when you're in contention. It almost feels like he'd be limping at the end just to finish. Every shot he's able to get into his left side. You can already hear the announcers trying to describe what he's doing and where the knee is going. But it's funny when you compare him and Tiger Woods, and I mean this in this respect, that Tiger for his entire career was said, all I do is care about the majors. And people were fine with that because he also won a ton of golf tournaments outside of the majors. Brooks essentially said the same thing a couple of years ago. I really only get up for the majors. And that wasn't okay. And it wasn't okay with guys like myself because he wasn't winning any other golf tournaments other than the majors. It's not good when you have more major wins than you have regular PGA Tour wins. That's just usually not normal for a top player. It's just not. But it is for Brooks. Yeah, it is for Brooks. And I think he needs to change that perception to all of us that he cares about more than the majors. It doesn't matter this week because this week is a major. Yeah. And we'll see if he can turn it on. Yeah. We talked about some sleepers, Trav. 2 names in particular that the number really jumped out at me when I looked right before we started the show. Victor Hovland was at plus 2,800. He's now moved up to around plus 2,000, depending on what book you're looking at. Sam Burns, who just won 3 weeks ago. And last week he had the 36-hole lead and finished second at the Byron Nelson. He's at plus 5,000 to 6,000 range. Explain to me how this is possible that there's this much of a difference between these two players.
Well, clearly the market has not caught up to Sam Burns. They're not ready to feel the same way about him as they are with Viktor Hovland, right?
Correct.
So we clearly can see that Viktor, certainly the more prized player coming out of college, was grouped in there with Morikawa, who we know has had a lot of success, and Matthew Wolff, where Sam Burns, a little quieter coming out of LSU. It's taken him a little bit to kind of work up to this point, but make no mistake, we've been saying it for weeks on in here. Before Sam Burns won at the Valspar, Sam Burns is the real deal, folks.
No question.
I mean, he's got length. His iron game is right there with Morikawa, with Viktor Hovland. And I think he's a better putter than Viktor Hovland personally. I think both their short games are their weakness and their opportunities, but I think Burns is the better putter. And I think he's right there with his ball striking. And I think he's even a little bit longer off the tee. We're just not ready to put Burns in that category yet. I expect Burns to make the cut, be competitive here. I think it's a good golf course for him. I think this grass too, Coach, will help Viktor and perhaps Burns. This past Palom, it can sit up a little bit. It's sticky. So I think that can kind of help those guys a little bit more around the greens, because you're going to need a short game here, especially if the wind blows. I think that's the big question mark and asterisk, is how much value is the short game going to have? Some of these guys want it to dirty it up, like Cam Smith, like a Brian Harmon. They want this thing to get dirty, so they have to use the short game more. They're really good. They excel there. Well, I think guys like Viktor and Burns, they want it to be a little more minimal, kind of wear people out with their ball striking, and then Burns get hot with that putter. So, yeah, hey, I'm right there with you. I put Burns right there with Viktor. I have no problem with it.
I think people need to be very, very careful, because this is a great way to educate people who bet on golf at home. We say all the time, you think that guy's going to win because you're saying this? No, but there's no value on a Viktor Hovland who has yet to win basically at all on the PGA Tour, other than one off the continental United States.
Yeah.
And so they're basically saying at plus 2,000 that he's basically in the top 10 choices to win his first PGA Tour event, so to speak, even though the PGA of America puts this event on. And to me, I find that very, very hard to put those two things together. Plus, at this number, that's where you really have to do your homework, because you can't bet on him to win. And if he does, we wouldn't be surprised, but it's the number. That's why if you told me you have to play one of these two, we don't think either one's going to win this week. But if I'm going to put any money at all on something, I want a big return on a long shot. And Viktor Hovland, to me, is still a long shot, but this is not a long shot number. So I would steer clear of him, if that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. It makes sense.
Kind of makes sense? Okay. All right. Finally, because I kind of glossed over it, I was looking up the featured groups, because I love the fact that ESPN came out and they said we're going to have more coverage of basically any major that's ever been done before, which I love, because I love watching from morning to end. I'm going to read these featured groups to you, Trav, and I want you to tell me if you can figure out what is missing or what is wrong with these featured groups. There's 5 of them. Koepka, JT, Rory, makes sense. Morikawa, Bryson, Hideki, makes sense. Spieth, Webb, Will Zalatoris. By the way, had Paul Tesori on the show, the preview show. He was amazing. He said Webb, 100%, going to be teeing it up at the PGA Championship. Then Ricky Fowler, Adam Scott, Tyrrell Hatton, and then finally Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm, and Patrick Reed. Those are your 5 featured groups. You'll get basically first tee till their last shot for the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday at the PGA Championship. What do you make of those?
Well, I mean, I personally don't want to watch Ricky Fowler play golf right now. I mean, that's
me either.
That's the one. And he got the special invite, and that's great. And I'm all for it. But now he's in the featured coverage. That's a little surprising to me. It's not surprising. I mean, Ricky's popular. We get that, but it just feels a little bit out of place considering the guy's really struggling with his game and has been now for quite some time.
You got to gauge the temperature in the room, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no way that he should be in a group. And the only reason he's there, Travis, is because of his name. And this is where I would challenge the PGA of America, that you're putting him with Adam Scott and Tyrrell Hatton, who have been in form the last year. They may not have won, but they've been in form. Terrell Hatton won a month ago. And because of his name, they're still treating him like an elite player. But he is no longer an elite player. Mm-hmm. When you have to get a special exemption just to get into the tournament, you're not an elite player anymore. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to wrap their head around that. We're not criticizing him. We're talking about how he's playing. And his play does not warrant being in a featured group for us to watch him shoot a 78 or a 79. I don't think it's fair to Ricky, and I don't think it's fair to us who would love to see DJ. The number one player in the world is not in a featured group.
That makes no sense.
That's wrong to me. That makes no sense.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
None.
Why is DJ not in a featured group?
Yeah, give me DJ over Rory even if Ricky was playing good, I would rather watch DJ.
All day, every day. You're
so
absolutely
makes no. That's a huge bogey. That's a triple bogey.
And you know the other name that's not in here? Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
Victor Hovland shows up every single week.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You've got a plus 17,000 player in a featured group, but a plus 2,000 player is not.
And Victor's fun to watch. You know,
he's a lot of fun to watch.
He's fun to watch. He stripes it. God, you don't know if he's going to lay the sod over it with his wedge. His putter can be, like he's got the smile on his face. He's enjoying himself. I love watching Victor Hovland play.
Me too. This leaves me scratching my head.
Yeah,
but I can tell you this. I can't remember the last time I was this excited for a major that's not the Masters. And also that the top players, Trav, whether you're talking about Bryson, in the last 6 months, all of these guys have won. Bryson, DJ, Jordan, Rory, JT, Morikawa, they've all won. So they're coming in at least in some type of form. And I think we're going to see a shootout, not necessarily as far as scores are concerned, but a shootout. I think it's going to be big names, big game hunting. And my picks this week reflect that. I don't think you're going to see a lesser than player or a club pro or a PGA professional. I don't think there's going to be any of those guys at the top of the leaderboard. I think it's going to be big names and big names only. I'd like to get a little bit closer. We're filming this on a Tuesday, and just to see how this is going to play out with the weather. Things can change quick with that wind. True. Yeah,
and that's the asterisk here. I think if the wind howls, when I say that 20 plus kind of thing, and you get those gusts, I think it changes the complexity of the tournament considerably on who would then have more of a upper hand, with the short game and the putting. But if it's calm, this is a bomber's paradise.
Completely true. All right. So with that being said, great time to segue into our picks for the week. And if you've been following our picks, then you've been cashing a lot of tickets the last several weeks. Here's how we do it. We take 100 fantasy dollars, so to speak. We have 5 different picks, 2 head-to-heads. That should be the meat of what you do. A top 20 pick, a tournament winner, and a wild card play. We spread that $100 out as far as what we feel most confident in. But if you really want to make money long-term at golf betting, head-to-head matchups have got to be what you put the most of your money on. Top 20s, top 10s, winners, they can change on a dime, and you can be leading, and all of a sudden your guy double bogeys, and you miss out on a top 10 or a top 20. Put the most of your money on head-to-heads in real-life money, and that is going to be your best, journey to success is the best way that I can put it. All right, Trav, let's jump right in. Your first matchup, sir, is what?
I talked to Eddie Pepperell on the phone this morning on the Stripe Show podcast, and he says, Travis,
Nobody
Travis,
promotes better than you.
In 2012, you realize how many Europeans were on that leaderboard, right? And I said, you know what? You're right, Eddie. So my first is Matt Wallace, minus 110 over Tommy Fleetwood. Coach, can you tell me why in the golf community people have this obsession with Tommy Fleetwood?
I think it's a combination of things. They like how he looks. They like how he talks. I think he's become very popular because of the skits that he does. But the truth of the matter is he's not playing very good golf right now.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't played great golf. And it's like, he's a great ball striker. Show me his statistics. They're not. He's not a great ball striker right now. Yes, he had a good short game week last week. And if we want to build that momentum heading into this, I like Tommy Fleetwood. I do. I think there's certain places for him. But over Matt Wallace? Have you seen what Wallace has done since he stayed here in the United States this spring? The dude is on fire and playing some incredible golf. You look at him statistically every statistic, tee to green, off the tee, approach, around the green, putting just incrementally continues to get better. The average over and over. The results are there. Third at Valero, 6th or 18th at RBC, 6th at Wells Fargo just last week, played brilliant. Comes into here. He's not afraid of this weather, nor is Fleetwood. If the wind blows, you just look at these two players. Who's the better player? It's a no-brainer who the better player is right now. Matt Wallace is head and shoulders above Tommy Fleetwood.
I can tell you this. If people don't want to play our matchups, or if they want to play more than the matchups we give them, Travis just hit on something that is very overlooked a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. When they're playing in really windy places, specifically on the East Coast, European players are just better on average than American players because they grew up playing in this. Wind does not affect them like it does American players. And we've seen that time and time and time again. So I'm glad that you brought that up, which will lead me into my first play of the week. And that's another European player, Rory McIlroy. And when I saw this number, Trav, I couldn't believe it. Jon Rahm is really struggling right now. He made the cut last week, right on the cut number of the Byron Nelson, but he is missing as many shots as he's making. And I know a lot of people like to dive into the numbers, strokes gained this, strokes gained that. The bottom line is the dude's not sleeping. He's got a newborn baby at home. It's a month old. I mean, sometimes we overthink everything. Yeah. The bottom line is when he gets out there, how many times, because I've done it a lot, have you gone out after a night of either drinking till 2 or 3 in the morning or just being out till 2 or 3 in the morning and you got a 7 a.m. tee time? You get out there and all of a sudden I can hit you on the 8th hole. You're like, gosh, I can't even keep my eyes open right now. You don't think that happens to new fathers on the PGA Tour? Absolutely it does. Yeah. And Rory just won. His child is a little bit older, so they've adjusted. And I think Rahm is taking a little bit longer to adjust. So you're going to give me Rory, who won here in 2012, who won 2 weeks ago, plus money. I'm taking this all day, Trav.
I think the thing with Rory, if you look closer in how he won that tournament, yes, he hit the ball better. He didn't drive that great, but his irons are better. He won it with the putter. I mean, he putted lights out. Rahm is certainly the most due, Coach, when it comes to the top players. Yes. He's had the one good round Sunday at the Masters. That's about it. I mean, he's kind of been stuck in neutral. I think a chilly putter has held him back. So it'd be interesting. Both these guys, though, the thing with these two, if the driver is dominant, if they have a great driving rig, they're going to be tough, both of them, because what a weapon to be able to just bomb it out there in the fairway at a course like this.
I love what you just said. And I also think I want to be clear. I don't think Jon Rahm is going to get crushed, and I don't think he's going to miss the cut. But I think that Rory has the muscle memory at this course. And I believe that right now, when you look at these numbers and what Rory has done, that you have to side with him. Because you just said about Matt Wallace, you said he's the better player. Well, right now, Rory is the better player than Jon Rahm. That may not be the case in 2 months. But today, in May, it is the case. And whatever he found 3 weeks ago, it worked at the Wells Fargo. And I think it's going to work this week against Jon Rahm. I really, really, really do. But I would love nothing more than a first and third place finish. That'd be cool. But both these dudes are European players. Yeah. I don't care how it comes out. Yeah. Hey, all right. Your matchup number 2. Who do you got, Trav?
All right. Well, we'll come back to America here on this one. Sam Burns. Look at this. Plus 110 over Patrick Cantlay.
I can't believe that number.
We just, it just hasn't caught up yet.
Yep.
Not convinced about Sam Burns, but Patrick Cantlay, I'm convinced, has now missed 4 straight cuts because that's what he has done. We've seen it start in the putter and it's worked through the rest of the bag. I mean, Cantlay, of all the big names, is probably struggling the most right now. He's going to turn it around. It's just, when does it happen? It feels like this kind of course might be a tough place to kind of get things moving in the right direction. Cantlay is completely going south, and Burns is like on a jetpack heading to the north. I mean, he's played the last 2 tournaments and he's got a first and a second, for crying out loud. And he's doing it through the bag, folks. It's not just a one-hit wonder here. Burns is the kind of guy that can win I think, different ways. I think he can win with his putter, and I think he can win with his ball striking. I mean, I really do. I think he's kind of that versatility of a player. So again, it's like, who's the better player right now? It's a no-brainer. Sam Burns over Patrick Cantlay. We're still in the South here. Sam Burns knows how to play golf in the South. This is where he's done it his whole career. And I'm going to keep going here. I'm on it with Sam Burns plus 110 over Cantlay.
You know, it's funny. I was watching a video of JT Trav on Instagram, and he was describing one of the par threes and how basically it was a 200-yard carry over water. And these par threes are so difficult that if you don't have your short game and your irons in play, you're going to be chipping around the green on all of them. And right now, Patrick Cantlay, his irons are not very good at all. And so even if it's just the par threes that he struggles on and you give back 2 or 3 shots, that could mean the difference between making the cut and being competitive and not. And right now, Sam Burns is hitting laser-like irons. And I think because of how big these par threes are specifically, I think that could prove to be the difference in this matchup. I love Sam Burns this week.
Yeah, on that note, real quick, Coach.
Yeah.
As I pulled it up here, proximity, I just pulled it up, 200 plus, okay? Shots of 200 plus proximity to the hole. Because they're going to have these shots.
Absolutely.
This week. The par threes. Last 50 rounds, Ryan Palmer's number 1.
Really?
Terrell Hatton, DeChambeau, there's Griot. We know he can go. Casey, Cameron Davis, Charlie Hoffman, John Rahm, Victor Hovland. Those are some of the names. That's just last 50 rounds coming in from a 200 proximity plus yard shot. I'll splice that out a little bit more from a par 3 perspective, but I do think that is a stat to look at. And the last thing I'll say with Burns is this. Mm-hmm. The guy's got a real intensity about him too, you know, and I like that. He kind of puts it on his shoulders. He's not passive about it. He's intense. I mean, he is focused. He is locked in. Telling you, man, I would not be surprised. I will have money on him to win. Do I think it's a little early for him to win a major? Probably so. But I'm going to have some money on him to win.
I think it's worth a sprinkle. And when I use the word sprinkle, I mean just a little bit, not a full unit, whatever your unit size is at home. Yeah. Maybe a little sprinkle. I may put $50, $100 on him, and plus 5,000 or 6,000. That's a great return if for some reason. And it's not that far fetched to think about Sam Burns cashing that ticket this week, which I think is great at that particular number. By the way, what you just described, Trav, I call it too cool for school. There's a lot of players on the PGA Tour that love to act like they're so cool that they can't show that it matters to them. Sam Burns is not one of those cats.
No.
You know exactly how he's feeling, and I'm here for that. Patrick Cantlay is one of those cats, in my opinion. You always, thank you.
I knew I'd get you going on Cantlay.
I hate how he plays golf. I'm sure he's a nice dude. I'm sure he is. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Let's have a pulse. Let's have a pulse. Why do you always do that to me? Why do you always do that to me when it comes to Patrick Cantlay? He would be my number 1 student. By the way, when I start this class, this marketing class with PGA Tour, Patrick Cantlay, sit down. You're in the front of the class. All right, my second matchup looks a little something like this. I'm also coming back stateside. I'm going to go Jordan Spieth plus 125. When I saw this number, I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? This is incredible. We're talking about a dude who does not finish outside the top 10 right now in Jordan Spieth. And JT, yes, he won the Players a couple of months ago, but he's been very erratic. And he's not been hitting his normal laser-type irons that we've seen. A couple of weeks ago, he struggled up and down all week, and he was never in contention. You're going to let me bet on Jordan Spieth. I get plus money, and I have his last 3 months to back me up. This was, you talk about no-brainer. This was in the dictionary as a no-brainer. Give me Spieth plus 125, period.
These are the two I want to see down the stretch right here. Spieth.
That'd be great.
And JT. Does JT have a little something on him right now? It's like, okay, we came out. Spieth was the Wonder Boy, won 3 majors, 12 tournaments, whatever it was there. And then he kind of went away. And then JT was starting to elevate. 13 wins, 1 major. Now Spieth is back, right? And it's like, can JT, put Spieth away and be the better player? I think Spieth is the better player and has been
I do too.
Head to head Off the tee, yeah, JT, a little more distance. I'll give him the edge. Iron game, I think they're about the same. I think Spieth is right there with Justin. Around the green, Spieth's, I think, better with the wedge. Putting, no question, Spieth is the better putter. I think these two down the stretch would be magical TV. I'd love to see it. And I think it could happen, but I'm with you here. I would take 125 Spieth all day.
All I know is that I am flying on Sunday so that I can shoot a little content, or at least that's the schedule right now. So if I'm in the air on Sunday during the PGA Championship and I'm turning on that TV on the back of the Delta seat, I better see Spieth and JT coming down the stretch, because that'll make the flight that much shorter from the West Coast to the East Coast. Okay, let's move on to our top 20 selections for the week. What did you pick out as a name that you really like and you like the number?
I love this. I mean, plus 138, Daniel Berger. I think this is a great spot.
Yes.
For Daniel. I really do. Put $15 on it. Played very good last week. 3rd at the AT&T, 13th at RBC. One thing about Berger, you look at him, he's hitting the ball exceptionally well right now. Tee to green. He's really piercing it. Let's have a good putting week. And I think this is an easy top 20. And frankly, Daniel has to be thinking about his career also and saying, look, I'm not a top shelf player like a JT, a Spieth, a DJ, a RAHM, some of the guys we just mentioned, but I'm in the tier below that, right? I've got some wins. I know my game is elevating. I know my prime is now, perhaps, and I've got to insert myself into the next level, right? I mean, that has to be in his head. And I think this is a good spot for him to do that. I'm a little worried about the short game, a little worried. I think this grass will help him, though, around the greens. I think this is a good spot for him. And the wind blowing, and he's that kind of guy that can keep it down and really control it. He's a solid ball striker. So can he elevate and become more competitive, Coach, on winning a major championship? It feels like the right venue for me. I'll go top 20, Daniel Berger.
Daniel Berger he's kind of weird when it comes to the betting aspect of it, because if you really watch what he does, it becomes very, very easy, Trav, for us to focus on the top 5 or 10 every week, because that's the names you see on the leaderboard. But Daniel Berger has made a career out of backdoor top 10s, backdoor top 5s, or backdoor top 20s, but never really challenging for the win. And last week was his career in a nutshell, that he has a great Sunday, shoots a 64 on Sunday, and has a backdoor top 5, but never really challenged KH Lee at the top. And I think that we could see that again this week. He makes the cut. Nobody's paying attention to him. He's right around T30, T25, and then has a really good Sunday to jump in to the top 20. That's how I foresee Daniel Berger cashing your ticket.
Well, you look at the PGA, it has been pretty good to him, too. He was 12th back in, he was 12th back in 18th. He made the cut, didn't play well in 19, and then he had a top 20 last year at Harding Park. So the PGA feels like the right kind of deal for him. He missed the cut at the Masters. I didn't really like that. The Open's the Open. PGA feels right. So he's playing well. Let's get competitive here. And maybe win this. Berger's got the game to win it. A few things got to go his way, but it just feels like his prime is now. It's now. It's go time.
You have to. He believes he's as good as his what I call his peers, and his peers in the same age category.
Right.
JT Smith. He believes he's good enough.
Yeah.
And now he has to go out and show us, and we'll see if this week is the week for him to capture his first major championship. My top 20. This is a guy that's been cashing for us all year long, and I'm getting him at plus 150. The market clearly. This is a sweet spot for Cameron Smith. He's just like Daniel Berger, because he can go out and shoot a 63, 64. If he was the first-round leader on Thursday, it would not surprise me. The problem he has had, Trav, is that Friday or Saturday 75 that rears its ugly head, and he goes backwards when everybody else is going forwards. Believe me, I know, because I bet on him almost every single week. But I think he elevates his game. And again, he's a player from a country that has a lot of wind.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to feel very, very comfortable on this course and in this environment. He knows he's good enough to play with these dudes. Give me Cam Smith plus 150.
Yeah, he definitely wants it to dirty up a little bit, I think. He wants it to get a little rough, get the wedges in the boys' hands more, and because that's where he's magic. I mean, his wedge game is sick. His putting is great. You know, he's given up some distance, so I think that's the thing. If it's smooth, if it's kind of clean and not a lot, he's going to have it. He's going to have to hit the driver exceptionally well. He's probably the most interesting to me, Coach, of that second tier kind of player like we're talking about with a Daniel Berger. And I would lean more towards that Cameron Smith player if it looks like the wind is going to be more of an issue.
People really need to understand. They think we just throw these picks out there. You really got to do it. Spend a little bit of time. Just Google if you have to. But when you come to Twitter, you say, guys, I lost this. You got to do some homework. Wind matters. Weather matters. How a player hits matter. It all matters. And if you truly want to try and make money, not to be a professional, but you've got to do a little bit of homework. We can't do it all for you.
Well, the other name
we do a lot.
The other name that's like a Cameron Smith is a Brian Harmon.
Perfect.
Patrick Reed. I think when you throw into that, like these are the guys that the harder it is, right, and the more wedges guys are having their hands around the green, like those are the guys that you want hitting pitch shots over and over and over and over again because their short game is so good and their putting is good, so they can get the ball up and down. Versus that's where I would be going more if I felt like it's going to be playing really difficult with sustained winds. If not, now I'm coming back over where I devalue that, and now a Burns becomes a little more enticing to me versus say a Cam Smith and a Brian Harmon.
And what's interesting about what you are saying right now is that I would encourage people to wait until Wednesday night to make your plays, right? Because then you're going to have the most accurate forecast of what's going to happen on Thursday and Friday. So don't put them in right now. Just wait and put them in last minute, which is normally against what we preach, but not this week. Not this week. Okay, let's jump into our winners for the week. Who do you think is going to be holding up that Wanamaker trophy come Sunday night and almost $2 million richer?
Going for my third win here on Cash Out with the coaches, the winner of the PGA Championship is Xander Schauffele at 17-1. I know. I've thought a lot about which way I was going to go on the win ticket here. And after writing about 11 names down and then crossing that out and then reestablishing and then crossing it out again, I went with Xander. And, I think you need the complete player we know here to win. You're going to need someone who can drive it well, iron game, give me some short game, give me some putting. And Xander can do all those things. He played great at the beginning of the year, didn't get a win, had the back-to-back seconds, Farmers and Waste Management, and then he went to sleep for about 6 weeks. And he kind of struggled. And missed the cut at the Players, took some time off after the Players, came back next tournament. We saw Masters, and he hit the ball in the water on 16 on Sunday. But he was never going to win that tournament anyway. I mean, that was Hideki's tournament. But anyway, he played good, though. I mean, Xander clearly cleared some things up. He played good at Wells Fargo. So I see Xander trending that way again. The question becomes, I think Xander will be there. Xander's sneaky long off the tee, by the way. He's sneaky long off the tee. Xander's too good of a player to only have 4 wins. I kind of look at him like a Berger. It's time now, entering your prime, to take that next step. I do think Xander Schauffele is going to win a major championship. I do. And I think it could be a PGA. I think it could be the Masters. I think he's just that much more of a versatile player. I think he could win the Open. So he can win any of the 4, but this just feels like the PGA feels like his best opportunity. I like how he's rebounded since the Players. He clearly needed to take some time off. And I think now we're seeing him trend. He's coming in fresh. Yeah. The Wanamaker, Xander Schauffele.
I actually think the U.S.
I talk you into it?
No, hell no. I was like, the longer he talks, the more he's trying to talk himself into this particular pick. I think of the 4 majors, the one that Xander is the most likely to win, I think is the U.S. Open. Because I think he grinds about better than anybody else. I don't think his game is in a point the PGA Championship is normally the major that has the highest score, meaning they can get to 15, 16, 17 under on some courses. I don't know about this week, but some courses they have. So it's usually been the easiest scoring of the four, then the British, then the Masters, and then the U.S. Open is always the hardest to score on. For some reason right now, I feel like Xander, and this may be a stretch, is a little snake bitten. And I hope he doesn't fall into the category of a Daniel Berger or a Ricky Fowler or guys that have enormous potential, but just never win at the level that their talent says that they should. And I feel like if he continues to go in the direction he's going, he may be that guy that stacks a lot of money, makes a lot of money, has that big FedEx Cup number, but you never talk about week to week to week. And that's where he is for me right now. I don't like this pick, but it would not surprise me. If he got it done, I wouldn't say, oh, he doesn't have the game. I would never say that. I
don't think I would go with Xander at 18, 19 under winning it. But I think we're in 10, 11. That's where we're at here.
Agree.
And so, he missed the cut in 17, T35 and 18, T16 and 19, T10 and 2020. And he's his best version of himself right now.
You are the guy with 2 wins. You are the guy with 2 wins.
Let's have the good putting week. And off we go. And Xander, to me, I think he can win any of the 4 majors. I think he's that versatile of a player. He doesn't have any weaknesses. So to me, whichever way the weather breaks, I think Xander still will be there.
Okay. Fair enough. I can't argue with it. I can't with anything that you said.
No, you like it. You like the pick.
No, I do not.
Okay.
My pick, sometimes we overthink it. And sometimes it is as easy as what's in front of us.
No, it's not right now.
I have no...
Did you see Finau didn't have any idea that the lasers were being allowed at the PGA Championship?
I did not see that story. He did not know?
He did not know.
Oh, my gosh. I hope his caddy knew. Well, he had to know Monday when he showed up. It's like, why do you guys all have these things out here? I personally don't like it. I don't know how you feel about it, but it is what it is. Yeah. I'm going to go with the guy that could complete the career Grand Slam. And I believe that sometimes things are destined to happen. I believe that Jordan Spieth was born to be one of the great players of all time, not just of our generation. And in order to do that, to be elevated, you've got to win all 4 majors in your lifetime, because that takes you to another category, Travis, that most players never, ever dream about getting to. His game is matching up with a major this time. And that doesn't always happen with these top players. But right now, I just want to get out of the way, take this number, which it seems like a sweet spot, plus 1,600, and say, Jordan, go out and show me. Use your driver, laser-like irons, cash on the good approach shots, and then get up and down on those that are a little bit wayward that other players will not get up and down on. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of guys fall off on Saturday and Sunday, and Jordan will be the man standing and completing the career Grand Slam.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. He's certainly right there for me as well. And like I said, if Spieth is there, if Xander's not there, I want to see JT with him. I think those 2 would be phenomenal down the stretch. He struggled a little on the weekend in Texas last week.
Oh, he did. Yeah, for sure.
So it's, the driver, right? It's going to come down to the driver, I think. And can he just keep it in front of him? You can't be crooked here. This place feels like if you don't have a good driving week here, you're in trouble. I mean, you're in trouble. The fairways are generous, by the way. They are fairly wide, but you get off of those, you're in trouble. And these huge pushed up greens, you're not running stuff up
you gotta get it up. Yeah.
Right. And that's what we saw, like Bryson at the US Open. Like we saw him kind of hack it out and chase it up to the greens. You're not going to do that here. These greens are all pushed up.
And Jordan talked about that in his press conference on Monday. He was like, listen, if I don't drive it well, I've got no shot. I have no shot. I have to drive it well. So he understands what he has to do. Okay, our final pick of the week for the PGA Championship. It's a wild card pick. It can be anything on the board that we like. Travis, what did you select?
Well, I'm going to go back to Harris English here, top 20. I'll give the people some odds here. I like to, there's some no-brainer top 20s that you could not get some odds, but I think this is one. If you had to look, hey, who's someone maybe they're not talking about? Harris, I think, can easily be brushed to the side. The reality is Harris was one of the hottest players on tour in the first part of the season, won the Tournament of Champions, and had a really nice run. I think after he won that, though, Coach, I think he would admit that he kind of turned the Jets off for a little bit. There was some really good play leading up to it. And then he won. And then you could see, okay, this is not quite the same Harris English year. But I think in the last couple months, you've seen him now. Maybe there's been a little bit of a refocus. And now you see statistically things are starting to get back in line again. And he played good at the Byron. He was 13th. It looked like him off the tee. It looked like him around the greens. It looked like him with the putter in his hand. And let's just get the approach game a little bit sharper. And I think we can get a top 20. He's a Southern guy. He knows how to play, this kind of golf, coastal golf too. He's very familiar with this being in Sea Island. So I think that'll play into his hands. And I think this is a good spot for him. He's trending nicely. I tend to get out in front of these, Coach. I tend to be a week early though, sometimes. So I try to let it.
It can be frustrating. That can be
it
frustrating.
is. I kind of look back and I'm a lot of the times I'm a week early with these trends moving. But it feels with Harris, it feels right considering where we are with this coastal golf. And I think he knows how to play in these kinds of conditions because he does it. It's where he lives in Sea Island.
It's where he lives. Yeah. He played for people who don't know, he played college at Georgia. So this is his part of the country. He feels very, very at home.
He knows it.
I agree with this pick. I like this pick. Last week I had him. In a couple of head-to-heads, so he won some money for me as well. So I was happy about that. But I think he has brought his game back from where it was out in Hawaii. And it happens. Sometimes you get fat and happy after a win. It happens.
Absolutely.
But I like this. Plus, I like the odds. Plus 275. As we always try to look for, as you said, we can throw out a minus 160. Yeah. But that doesn't give anybody value. Plus, when it doesn't hit, then they've lost 160.
DJ top 20. JT top 20.
Minus 280. There you go, boys.
Yeah, you're right.
We're on the sharp side. All right, my final pick of the week. This is a guy that you talk about under the radar. This dude has been under the radar great the last couple of months. Last week, he was right there on the final day. You saw a lot of him on Sunday as he was in the top 10. Right there at the Zurich as he teamed up with Louis Oosthuizen. Every single week right now, he's a top 15 player. Absolute top 15 player. He's one of those guys, I put him in the same category with a Charlie Hoffman, a Ryan Palmer, a Matt Kuchar, 40-somethings that have to look themselves in the mirror and say, do I want to be relevant or do I want my career to be over until I turn 50? And Charles has clearly said, I want to be relevant. And he has got his game back. He is healthy. And I believe he could be sneaky good this week. The great iron player. He's won the Masters, which means you talk about the pushed up greens. He's got the short game to do this. At plus 330 for a top 20, I love this number, and I love that it's matched up with Schwartzel. So I'll cash this ticket at plus 330.
Yeah, I've been on that gravy train for the last couple weeks. He's been making money on the head-to-heads. Had him last week, and I think it's a great pick. I don't know what's happened here, but Charles Schwartzel is hitting his irons as good as he perhaps has ever hit them. I mean, it is.
Isn't that amazing? Because he won the Masters so long ago. Positive
4.6, positive 6.8, positive 6.2. Last three tournament strokes gained approach. That's that's JT. That's JT kind of ball striking. So your irons are that good, and his driving's right there with it, by the way. He's positive too off the tee. When you're hitting the ball that good, you can play any golf course.
Amen. All right. That is a full PGA Championship preview. My goodness. That was good. We gave it a little bit extra time this week because there was so much to get into. A reminder, if you haven't watched the full PGA preview, that is in your feed right now on our Sports Pub Media YouTube channel. Obviously, these picks are out. We'll be putting out tomorrow so everybody can see them on social media as well. Travis, any final thoughts on the PGA Championship, sir?
Well, I think you said it. Make your bets late Wednesday. Let's see how the forecast looks, right, as we get later in the day. But Kiawah Island is a fabulous spot, coastal golf, Pete Dye design. I mean, you're just getting everything here. I love Pete Dye designs. He gives you a lot to think about off the tee. The par threes are magnificent, pushed up greens. You got to have it all, right? You got to have it all. But I think with the wind, it just, what kind of tournament's going to break out? If it gets nasty and the wind blows more and more and more, then that short game, I think, becomes increasingly more important. So those are the kind of players that you have to kind of weigh in and weigh out. I tend to bring the short game down primarily in a lot of tournaments because I just think that it's a ball striker's paradise. But when you get into the tough conditions, you got to have a short game.
I tell you what, I think as fans, we would love to see carnage. But either way, I think it's going to be a tremendous week, and we are here for it. We'll be here start to finish. That's it. That's all the damage that we can do.
It's time.
Episode 20, second major championship of this Cash Out with the Coaches relationship. We're going strong. Follow Sports Pub Media on Twitter and on Instagram. Enter
like this video.
Exactly. Leave us a 5-star review if you listen on Apple Podcasts as we continue to grow every single week. We have an incredible staff that worked with us, Samantha and Cody and James and his whole team at Sports Pub Media. For Travis Fulton, I am the coach. Remember, this is the only place every single week for all of your betting golf content that you can. If you're going to cash out, why not cash out with the coaches? Good luck.
See you.
Hey guys, what's good? This is the coach. You may know me from PGA Tour Live, the Golf Channel, or even ESPN. I wanted to interrupt this YouTube video real quick to tell you how to get the best and most entertaining golf betting content every single week, and it's all for free. It's called Cash Out with the Coaches. I've teamed up with legendary golf instructor Travis Fulton, and he's also a PGA Tour insider, to bring you the unscripted, unfiltered PGA Tour betting talk and analysis. All you have to do is subscribe to Sports Pub's new channel, and you'll get access to our Cash Out with the Coaches show before every single PGA Tour event. You can also play along with the coaches, too. We don't hold anything back on this free show. And all you have to do is subscribe to Sports Pub's channel with the button on the video, and you'll have access to every single show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Can't wait to see you on the channel.